ChannelPro's very own Colleen Fry is here to discuss part 3 of a series on M&A, this time on onboarding success. Plus, Colleen sits down with Larry Hann from Apc by Schneider Electric to discuss EcoStruxure IT for partners and more. It's ChannelPro Weekly Special Edition, Devil in the Details. Hello and welcome to ChannelPro Weekly Special Edition this time. We have a special edition episode for you, sponsored by Apc by Schneider Electric. We thank them for their sponsorship, and we're going to get to a little bit more about that in a little while. My name is Matt Whitlock, Technology Editor, Online Director, and your host of this program for you, the VARs, the integrators, the MSPs, the MSSPs, if you do technology with businesses, you are in the right place, particularly if you sell UPS power products like those made by Apc by Schneider Electric. Joining me this week and every week is our co-host here, my comrade in arms, my friend, you know who he is, executive editor, Rich Friedman.
Hey there, Matt.
Good to see you, Rich. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. You know what the big difference between you and me is on this episode?
What's that?
I have not been in a bar fight recently.
Yes, true. Yeah, for those who are listening or for those who are watching, they see that I have a little bit of a bloody lip kind of thing going on here. And Rich, no, I was not in a bar fight.
Here.
I was, as for those who have watched the show a while, you've probably heard me mention that I coach youth softball. So the fight wasn't in a bar. It was actually a fight with a softball, and the softball won. But I will get it back next time in the future. And hey, Rich, we are not alone. We have a special guest host with us today, our very own Colleen Fry. Colleen.
Hey, Matt, what's going on?
Welcome to this special edition episode. We're really glad to have you here. So Colleen, you've been on here and there talking about some of the various stories you've done, but for those who may not be familiar with you, tell us a little bit about you and what you do here at ChannelPro.
So I'm the managing editor, or so my title says. So I work very closely with Rich, edit and write stories, work with our freelancers, issue designer, things like that, as well as moderate sessions for our online conferences.
Very cool. We all do tend to wear a lot of hats here, except for Rich. He's not a big hat guy. He always has his hair slicked back, but he still does a lot of stuff. Right, Rich?
I keep the hats off camera.
The hats are always off camera. So we're excited to have a special edition episode. I want to give a big thanks to Apc by Schneider Electric for sponsoring this special edition, and we're gonna have it like a little bit of an Apc themed episode here as we go through. We are going to talk about a story that Colleen has out that we really wanted to get to in episode 161 but didn't get a chance to. So we'll talk about that here today, which is about mergers and acquisitions, a 3-part series that she's been working on. I know Colleen, you got a chance to sit down and talk with somebody at Apc in an interview, so we're going to get to that. We'll have you set that up. Of course, I have a museum pick and a tech pick for you. Also, Apc theme. So it's going to be a great show. Still going to be a lot of good information for you. A lot of awesome stuff. Definitely stick all the way through. So, Rich, without further ado, why don't we go ahead and get to Colleen's M&A story. So, Colleen, would you like to set up what this 3-part series has been about and tell us a little bit about it?
Sure, Matt. So the first part of the series was about your pre-sale checklist. So, how far in advance you should start planning if you, would one day like to sell your company. Things like getting your books in order, starting to, make some contacts, getting your management team in place, things like that. The second part in the series was about, I'm forgetting already. Evaluating the candidates. So if you're in the buy side of the house, what you need to look for a good candidate. Do they, fit in with your culture? Do they fit in with your services offerings? Things like that. And then finally, the last part is onboarding. Once you've actually sealed the deal, and now you've got a bunch of new employees, you've got a bunch of new customers, all to merge into your new one company.
And tell us a little bit about what part 3 and some of the things that you talk about in the onboarding success part.
So to a person, everyone I spoke with for this story said that, onboarding is a big project. It's difficult. And you got to really plan it like a project. And many of them, MSPs that I spoke with, actually put it into their PSA and work it like a project. And it has, can have thousands of steps and integrating a system. And then you've got to communicate that plan very clearly to everyone involved. So the new employees, present employees, and then eventually your customers, so that everybody's clear and it kind of puts aside folks' fears, because everyone I spoke to also said that the worst part is silence, because people can imagine the worst if they don't know what the real plan is.
One of the really interesting things, and I think a lot of people were aware that onboarding is a complex process, but it was interesting reading the article and discovering that for the people who are really good at it, like you said, we're talking about thousands of steps in this process that some people will capture essentially on a timeline, and because you got to do all of them, and so when you're talking about that many steps, it's a good idea to capture them, but. It's just really interesting. I think it shines some light on the complexity of the process, and it's interesting as well in terms of a sort of a related topic. I mean, I did a story for the magazine not too long ago that touched on acquisitions as one of the ways that a smaller MSP can become a bigger MSP. And I actually spoke with one of the sources you spoke with for this story, Carl Bickmore. And Carl pointed out, he's been through this a number of times, he said, if the thing you're looking to do is grow your revenue base, grow your customer base, that's going to be a much slower process if you just do that organically through lead generation. So you're going to get that done faster through an acquisition, but it's going to cost you more to take the acquisition route. And the fact that there are thousands of steps and it's this big long process really does kind of underscore that, doesn't it? That this is not, you have to kind of think about the dollars that you pay out to make the acquisition as part of the cost, but then also all that time that you invest after the acquisition in the onboarding process to really get the total cost of acquisition in mind.
Right. And Carl also told me that it's important to not skip a step, to really, stick to the plan and hold your team accountable. So they have teams, and they kind of break their plan into 3 parts of the business. So, and, operations and customer facing, things like that, and service delivery. So each section of the business kind of has its own onboarding plan.
And I mean, we're talking about thousands of steps, but as your article lays out, and you break this out very nicely for people into different steps of the process, but we're talking about a 12-month process, right?
Yeah. In fact, Mike Fowler, who is the CEO of Iconic IT, and also wanted to grow quickly. And so Iconic IT is the merger of 4 actually MSPs. And he said, 12 months, plan on 12 months easily to get it all done. And then even after that, Carl Bickmore said you're often spending months after that first year documenting everything. And that's another thing he said to not forget, because, then when you go to buy another company, you've got this all documented.
Rich, I saw in here, and Colleen, one of the sections that was kind of towards the end that I thought was interesting is it talks about onboarding mistakes to avoid.
Yeah.
And I liked a couple of these, and a couple of them I actually found one I kind of interesting, because the first one, it says that don't tell people things won't change, because they will. And it seems like there is this kind of desire to say, oh, everything's going to be hunky-dory and everything's going to be the same, but it's not.
Right. And it's never the same. Even a very small change, as Mike Fowler pointed out, can be disruptive, particularly to a customer. Say you change, net terms, by 10 days. That's a big deal to them. And so all of that is part of how you communicate the plan too. Or you might just change, the way people work. And, people are creatures of habit. And so that's a big deal to the new employees. And another MSP that I spoke with, Patrick Wiley, said that he learned right from the beginning, and he reminds himself every time, because they've done like 13 acquisitions, is that the people that you're acquiring did not choose you. And so they might not be happy about the situation, no matter how easy you try to make it for them.
It says in here, and I found this kind of interesting, that as you plan, to onboard, and you start planning out the M&A process, that you should plan to lose a good chunk of customers during the process. What is the percentage of that you should account for, Colleen?
Well, Mike Fowler said probably 10 to 15%. And then he and others point out that some of that also is going through the customer list and maybe sifting through the A and B clients, and then, trying to transition out the clients that are less profitable. And then they all said that, and then there'll be some that just decide that, hey, we like the old people, so we're just not staying no matter how accommodating you are.
One of the things that was really interesting in the article to me, and surprised me a little bit, I mean, obviously, you've got to start talking to the employees, the existing employees, the acquired employees immediately after this, becomes public knowledge, and tell them what's happened and why it's happened. But I was a little surprised at how consistently the people you spoke to said that you probably don't want to talk to your customers about it right away. And in fact, if I remember right, it's like months they were saying, before you start telling the customers, here's what's happened and here's what that potentially means for you.
Yeah, it can be several months, because you're not really changing those systems right away. The first 30 days, you're sort of merging HR kinds of functions and things. So all that is not customer facing. And so after you get your house in order a little bit is when you can start going out and talking to customers. And to a person, everyone also said that that's kind of an in-person discussion. That's not an email. That's going out and letting them get to know, the owner, and, how you plan to do business, and to reassure them.
Well, they're not the only ones that need reassuring too. Sometimes the employees need reassuring, because anytime there's a merger and acquisition, the first thing that employees are going to think is like, hey, am I on the chopping block? And I know Mike in this article had some thoughts around retaining employees and who stays and who goes. What were some of the thoughts there?
Mm-hmm. Well, for both Mike and Carl, their intention is to hopefully keep everybody, if not in their current role, but maybe in a different role, because they're all about growing. And so they're acquiring more business, and they need all hands on deck, and they're hoping that they can keep everyone. Occasionally, as Patrick Wiley of Aldridge points out, it just doesn't work out, and you need to, exit that person. And so he advises do that quickly. And then Carl Bickmore sort of added to that, saying that, you have to do it human to human too, because these are people's livelihoods, these are, people's lives. And so they always try to give them letters of referral, perhaps make a connection to them to another IT business owner. So treat people like people.
So, we're talking here about 12 months and thousands of steps, and communicating with customers and with employees. I mean, it's a big process, and for somebody like myself, reading about it even just a little intimidating. I mean, where do you want to kind of leave our audience, leave your readers on that, just in terms of how intimidated maybe they should be? I mean, should this scare people away from contemplating an acquisition? My goodness, am I going to be able to handle all this? Or is it really, something that more or less anyone can do, provided they go into the process the first time with their eyes open and kind of know what to anticipate?
Yeah, I think that's important. It's all about the details. So you have to dot the I's and cross the T's. Several of these folks said that, as they're progressing in their plan, they would take a pause and, check to see, did we break anything? Are customers disrupted? Are employees happy? And then keep proceeding on the plan. So you're constantly sort of reevaluating your plan. So, I mean, nobody sugarcoated it that it was an easy thing to do, but certainly worth it if, you want to grow that way. And it's about the devil's in the details. And so if you can be detail oriented, I think you can get through it, because plenty of IT business owners do project plans all the time. So this is kind of right in their wheelhouse. Put in the PSA.
It's definitely a process. Reading through the series, you learn that there really is a lot to think about, and a lot of, as you said, details to make sure that you're nailing down. But it's not an insurmountable task. And I think it's important that if you go and you read it, and we're going to put links to this, all three of these parts in the show notes page here for this special edition episode. So definitely go to channelpronetwork.com and find that and read through it. And it seems like a lot, but it's not, like I said, like Colleen, it's not insurmountable. It can be done. You just have to.
As long as you go into it with your eyes open and you know that you got to pay attention to every little thing.
Yes, it's always good to go into things with eyes open, because if you walk into things with eyes closed, you end up with lips that look like mine because you're going to run into it. And that would not be good.
I commend you, though, for being a softball coach. I'm all about, softball girl power.
It was a scrimmage game, and it was a good one. We won, so that was good. But things happen. And actually I did have my eyes open. I saw the thing flying at my face. I just couldn't react fast enough. I blame you, Rich.
Was this just a foul ball? What happened?
Yeah, it was a foul ball off of it was a scrimmage. So we didn't have an umpire, and I was stupid enough to call balls and strikes without thinking to put a helmet or a mask on. So it fell right off the back, and it was like right there, right in the face. I'm lucky though, because had it been a little higher, it for sure would have broken my nose.
Right.
So, and then that would have been a whole different look here. Also, which can also happen if you walk into things with your eyes closed. So the moral of the story here: eyes open when you walk into things.
And all about the details, Matt. If you had taken that little detail to get the umpire's mask on, we wouldn't be having this conversation. So you missed an important detail.
Yeah,
and in hindsight, a very, very important detail. So yes, but let's not drone on about my injuries, although I'm sure you guys are laughing on the inside here. But I do want to get to our next part, which is great. So Colleen, you got a chance to sit down and talk to someone at APC and talk about something. So I know you have an interview lined up for us. I'm super excited that you got one. Again, a big thanks to APC for sponsoring our special edition episode. So Colleen, take a couple of minutes. Who did you talk to, and kind of set up this interview for us?
Yeah, so I spoke with Larry Hann, who's Director of Digital Services Programs for IT Channel at APC by Schneider Electric. And he works with partners, and they're talking about what's new there. And one of the things that's new is this EcoStruxure IT for partners. And so it's about, another power management services offering that, partners will have available to them. And they're very excited about it there.
Yeah, it sounds like an interesting interview. So why don't we go ahead and go and switch to that, and we'll take a look, and we'll be right back.
My guest today is Larry Hann, Director of Channel Digital Services at APC by Schneider Electric. Larry's going to catch us up on what's been happening lately there. And so Larry, welcome. And before we get started, please tell us a little bit about your role at APC by Schneider Electric.
Yeah, absolutely, Colleen. Thank you for having me today. I appreciate the opportunity. So my role as the Director of Channel Digital Services is to actually work with our channel partners to implement our cloud-based solutions that we brought to market, which we'll talk about today, and really trying to understand what their go-to-market strategy is, and then figuring out what's the right fit for them in regards to the solutions we provide, so they can bring more value to their customers and actually make more money and more profit for their business.
So you folks are known for reliability with your power products and solutions. So what's new and exciting with APC by Schneider Electric?
Yeah, so as you know, APC's been around for many years, and we're definitely known for our UPSs. One of the things that we introduced about 2 years ago, really what we're going to talk about today, is our EcoStruxure IT platform, and that's our cloud-based monitoring and management software. And really what that does is it actually enables us to help customers and partners get more visibility into their distributed environments. If you think about what's going on in the market today, you're seeing more and more IT move outside of what would be considered the traditional data center and moving really closer to where the customer is consuming the experience. And depending on the use case, that could be in the schools, where a student is using a Chromebook to get access to content online, to enhance the education experience. Could be in retail, or fast food. I mean, there's basically an app for everything today. you're seeing more and more of the companies driving a digital experience. So the challenge with that is that that needs to be available. Customers expect to have whatever it is they're doing to work. And to do that, when you think about our category, you're going to need UPSs, and you're going to need cooling devices and racks and PDUs to do that. Problem is those environments that these things are going into don't have, some cases are not set up for IT. If I go back to that school example, you could see IT equipment in the back of a classroom. You could see it in a janitor's closet, not places that are designed to have IT. The people that are actually at those locations aren't actually, they're not IT people. So if something goes wrong, they're not actually able to fix it. Another thing that we've run across is in some cases, customers don't even know what they have in those locations. Maybe it was bought by a previous person, or the company was acquired by another company. So there's this lack of visibility. And then the last thing, from a security perspective, they don't necessarily have the right protocols. Our category, the UPS, people buy them, so they do the right thing by buying it. In a lot of cases, they set it and forget it. And they don't really think about, especially if it's connected to the network, the UPS could actually be a backdoor from a security perspective, especially the firmware. If they haven't been upgrading the firmware, be out of date, could be out of compliance, and that's a perfect opportunity for a hacker to get into the network. So our software actually enables these customers, and then we'll talk about it from a partner perspective in a little bit. It enables them to have visibility into that and really actually start those environments remotely, and actually basically kind of take control of the overall life cycle of what's going on with those devices. So we're very excited about the offer. We think it's actually going to bring a lot of value and really help kind of expand the reach of our partners, and also enable our customers to have more availability and provide that experience that they want to provide to their customers.
Mm-hmm. So EcoStruxure IT for Partners is an offering of software and services add-ons to both new builds and existing infrastructure. Larry, what are some ways that partners can take advantage of these services and offerings today?
Yeah. So,
and more importantly, can they be profitable with this?
Yeah. So, as we talk to partners, they say we've had this on the market for 2 years, and it's really kind of been a learning collaborative environment for us. And there's really a couple of things that always come up when we talk to them. The first thing is, how do I make money? That's probably the most important thing. But the other thing is like, well, how do I implement this? Is there a support process in place? And the thing with EcoStruxure IT for Partners is really design it with partners in mind. So you really think about that, the transition some of these partners are going into. They're trying to drive more managed services or monthly recurring revenue. We've actually designed this so that they can actually manage multiple clients. We basically implemented, we have APIs. So if they've already made an investment in a platform to go manage that environment for their customers, they can just snap into that platform with our APIs. And then for some of the rich data and analytics that we provide, they can swivel chair back into it. But we really built this to be flexible and to allow the partner to kind of look at where they are today from a maturity perspective, where they want to go, and also how much they want to invest. So we've got a couple of different go-to-market strategies based off of what the partner comes back to us and says that they need or want. And then basically based on what they choose, we actually have different implementation paths that they can go down to actually bring that to market. And that could be as simple as just buying and reselling our offer in conjunction with projects that they're doing, all the way through to a fully managed power offer where they're basically managing the full environment for their customer, and then anywhere in between. And we have a number of different services that we wrap around that. So the software itself kind of gives you that visibility into the environment, but then that data that we're collecting, those analytics we're providing, someone has to still look at that. So typically that's done by a NOC, and that could be done by the partners, especially the MSPs are going to want to do that themselves. But if they don't have a NOC that they can to do that, we can actually do it for them. We have our own service that will provide that, and then in that service, that's where you kind of do your virtual remediation. You'll do your troubleshooting. to try and fix what's going on virtually. And then you know, there's some things that just can't be fixed virtually. So there's the last piece of when you look at the overall offer is dispatch. So the actual rolling of a truck, sending someone on site. And again, in that scenario, we have flexibility. We have our own service that the partner could resell, or they could do it themselves. If they have their own service arm, they can go out and service these devices, and we'll train them on how to do that. So when you think about from a partner standpoint, we are providing the full offer, and then also the flexibility so they can pick and choose. They can lean into it slowly, or they can jump into the deep end. We're really there to support. And then wrapped around that, we have a group of support people. We have a customer success and partner success team. And their job is to really make sure that the customer gets the experience that they need as the partner goes out and supports them. But then the partner success team works with the partner to make sure that they're maximizing what's in the offer to bring the most value to their customers. So that's what we're doing from an offer perspective. And then back to the profitability, there's actually 3 different areas where we see that we can actually drive value to the partner from a profitability or revenue perspective. On the front end, the simplest one is really just hardware pull through. So that visibility that we're providing, we actually help identify areas where UPS health might not be the level it needs to be, or that device security I was mentioning before. In a lot of cases, that might actually drive a hardware upgrade. So they could actually use our software just to do assessments and actually go drive and basically identify stuff that needs to be upgraded. So that's one. The more important one is you think about a managed environment. It's the monthly recurring revenue. So you can snap our platform into their existing managed services business, and then you basically turn that into an annuity. Charge monthly for their customer, dependent, and provide different levels of support depending on what the customer needs. And then the last piece, which is a little bit more on the back end, is a lot of cases, when we talk to these partners, they're managing their customers' environments for other things, so their network, maybe they're helping them migrate to the cloud, maybe they're actually helping them with their cybersecurity. And in a lot of cases, that equipment that they're monitoring for the customer is plugged into UPS, or is not, and is actually, they're going to have downtime, and it's driven by power. But that's typically not part of their SLA. So, but their NOC still has to go and remediate the issue for their customer to figure out what the source is. In some cases, that could actually lead to a truck roll as well. And just to discover that it's something related to power, either UPS or no UPS. So what we actually can do through our tool is actually give them that visibility so they can, first of all, remediate quicker, because we can identify, hey, this is a power issue. But the other thing is we can actually enable them to kind of free up their resources to maybe go focus in other areas. And I actually talked to one partner about this, and they said, basically, if we, in some cases they when they had an issue, it took them 30 minutes to resolve. And you think about all the number of tickets that are coming into a NOC. So basically, if I could remove that from my support model, that actually could free up a head that I could actually go allocate to another part of my business, which drives more revenue for me. So we're really looking at different ways that we could bring value to the partner on the front end with the MMR and the hardware upgrade, and then also help them to drive costs out of their model in the back end by making them more efficient.
Great, that's very informative, Larry. So say someone listening to this wants to get started with EcoStruxure for IT for partners. What do you have in place to support partners? Do you have a channel partner program?
Yep. So we do. We have a channel partner program, which if you're not part of our program today, you can actually get started just by going to apc.com/personal page. That will actually bring you to the main location where our partners kind of get into our partner portal. So we actually have a central location where partners can get information not only on our programs, but also on collateral and marketing materials, and then also our registration program. So our traditional partner program is designed to enable our partners to really take advantage of the relationships that they have with their customers. Our registration program actually helps protect them for projects they're going after. And then it also has the certifications and the training that we need to go and become experts to drive that to the market. Now, as it relates specifically to EcoStruxure IT, for partners, we, as part of our registration program, we've recently incorporated the SKUs for that offer, and then also our monitoring dispatch offer, which is the services, on-site services that I'd mentioned, into the program. So if they have a project that incorporates those, they can actually get additional discounts, and the size of the discounts will depend upon which level of partnership they get to. The very minimum has to be at least a select member and advantage of that. So that's what we have today. And then as we move forward, we're continuing to evolve the partner program, and I know we're going to talk a little bit about that a little bit in the future. But just to get started, they should go to the partner page, and then that'll get them into the program, and then we'll work with them to help drive their business and bring more value to customers.
Mm-hmm. Now, Larry, you mentioned that these offerings have been available and evolving over the past couple of years. So do you have any examples of how, partners have been taking advantage of them, or any kind of success stories that you can chat with me about?
Yeah, absolutely. So I referenced a couple of them before. I mean, the first thing, and the ideal implementation of the offer is to incorporate this into the businesses the partners are already doing today. So we look at the managed service side. As I'd mentioned, they're already providing services to their customers to help, I guess, remove or alleviate non-core functions, right? So our objective is just to get them to incorporate the power as part of that, and make it just it could be extension of existing service. I'd mentioned, like, managed networks. So managing network devices. Well, maybe it's part of what they charge. They incorporates managing the UPSs that are plugged into that have the network devices plugged into them. Or it could be actually creating their own practice, where basically they do manage power as a practice, and it's something that they have on their website, and basically it's its own standalone feature. And we actually have a couple of partners have kind of gone really both routes. Have one partner that basically, on that managed network side, they basically are just incorporating. In fact, they didn't change their pricing to their customer. They just incorporated the UPS management as part of it. And the reason they didn't change their pricing is going back to what we talked about on the operations side. We were able to actually drive enough efficiency for their business that even though they had to pay for the licenses to get the visibility through our software, they were saving enough money on the back end that actually paid for itself. And then also the pull through that they were getting as far as the new projects was giving them enough top line. So they saw enough value in what we provided to them that they didn't need to change their pricing model, at least today, with what they provided to their customer. They just incorporated and expanded the value they bring to the customer. So that's one example. We have another example of a partner, which is actually developing a full solution, a managed power solution. They're actually taking our EcoStruxure IT Expert offer that they're incorporating it into their Science Logic platform using our APIs. And then they have a service arm, but they weren't really interested in managing the UPS or fixing the UPSs themselves. So they're actually leveraging our monitoring dispatch service and just reselling that. And then what we're doing with them is we're actually training them on how to actually take the alarms through their platform and remediate them. And it gets to the point where basically they can do almost all the troubleshooting up to the point of having to dispatch someone. And then we're creating a handshake between their service hub and our service hub to do that last step as far as doing dispatch. So that's a model that worked for them. And actually, we just kicked that off within their business unit. We already have a couple examples of customers or projects that have come out from that engagement. So that's the managed service side. The other area where partners are leveraging this is really from the assessments that we do. So I didn't delve deep into it earlier, but we do actually have specific assessments around UPS health, around device security. We have partners that are actually going back and looking at their install base of UPSs that they sold that are connectable, and actually then going out to the customers that they sold those to, especially ones that are 2 or 3 years old, and basically positioning a free assessment of that environment to help them understand the health of the devices and really kick off that conversation around the upgrade cycle. And by leveraging that, identifying projects that they can do for pull through. And we have a couple of we have some large partners and some small partners that are doing this. It's an excellent way for them to really kind of expand the reach or get back in front of the customer and actually bring value to them in an area where there's that lack of visibility. The customers don't realize that they're exposed, so it helps them to actually show that and then start this more of a collaborative or partnership with their customers.
So it sounds like lots of opportunity for partners to add value to their portfolio.
Yep.
And as we all know, the partners' business models have been changing more toward recurring revenue, and so has your offers been evolving. So I'm wondering, what do you see happening to your portfolio? How is it evolving for the future, and what will your future partner look like?
Yeah, so it's interesting with being a cloud-based offer. There's really no endpoint to where we can go. You think about a piece of hardware and we design it. Yeah, there's features built into it, but once it's done, it gets implemented and built. It is what it is. With a cloud-based offer, basically, we can continue to evolve. And one of the decisions we made early on is that we weren't just going to assume that we knew all the right answers. This is actually an environment which is really a market that was new for us. There's partners that have been doing managed services for many years. So we wanted to establish this as a collaborative environment. We actually, last year, we hosted some of our key partners in a partner advisory council as a first step in that direction, and really tried to understand from them what things that we need to do to enable this to really help you bring value to your customers and make it interesting enough for you to make that business decision. Because the features, capabilities of the software are very important, and there's a lot of value we bring with that. But there's other things that came out of that conversation. The first is, you kind of mentioned it with monthly recurring, is if you look at our partner program today, it's really designed to drive hardware and attach and projects. But when you start getting into the managed service space and the monthly recurring revenue model, you have to really look at it more from an operational perspective. In looking at things like customer churn, the ability to expand and add more devices, and also driving profit into the model. It's different. It's not just about the margins they make on the resale. It's also about providing the right training or the services to wrap around it so they can actually drive more profit. So we're still in the process of developing what that's going to look like. We're actually going to call it the partner of the future. And really the other aspect of it is, which ties into other feedback we got to them, is we got to make it easy for the partners. So if you think about what's going on with the marketplace and even other vendors, I mean, every vendor is coming out with their cloud-based something, and it has APIs, and it's got to tie into whatever platform they have. And when you think about the partners, every year they have to make a decision as to where they're going to invest, and look at the resources they have to support that. And while something like our category, power and cooling, is important, it's not going to be the top of the list of investment when you look at what's going to actually drive the revenue for that company. So we have to make it easy for these partners to implement our offer into their practice. And in order to do that, we have to have the right programs to do that. So our Partner of the Future program, it's going to look at a couple of things. First of all, we're going to look to digitize the process as how a partner would actually go from identifying this as something they want to implement into their business to implementation. Because there's a lot of things that go into it, and we kind of touched on a few of them as we've talked today. But on the front end, it's really understanding what's the business opportunity for them and working with that. There's a whole section around from an operations perspective, getting their knock up, training them, helping them understand what the alarms mean, what to do with them, how they connect with our knock, pulling all that together and making it easy for them. And then on the back end, working with them on the right messaging and how they put their programs together. How do they price the offer? What does the offer look like on their website? And then from a service perspective, how are they going to service it? If they have their own service arm, are they trained? How do we get them set up so they can and actually have the protocols to make sure that they're providing the level of service that we would expect and their customer expects. So there's a lot of things that go into it. It's a lot more than just a software that provides visibility. So all those things are being rationalized right now. And as we come out with the program, and we're looking to have it for Q4, at least the first iteration of it, it's going to try and rationalize all those things and make it a very stepped, easy process for our partners to take advantage of this offer. And it's going to snap into our existing partner program today.
Mm-hmm. Great. One more, Larry, and I'll let you get back to your day. So
Sure.
From a timing standpoint and the current, disrupted normal that we're all living through right now, why is this the right time to bring this type of solution, to market for your partners?
Yeah, so I talked earlier a little bit about the lack of visibility that the customers have today, and I think you've probably seen it. It was a quote by Nadella from Microsoft. He said, basically, when we were in the height of dealing with the pandemic, that basically we saw 2 years of transformation in 2 months from a digital perspective. And really what we're seeing in regards to customers, there's a couple of things. First of all, the ones that are actually going to survive and make it through, they're really looking at how they want to manage their business moving forward. In some cases, they've had to cut resources and people from their companies that they may or may not bring back. But the functions still need to be handled. So really kind of making this no-go decision on what's core and what's not core. And really we need to relay that back to our environment or our category. Power protection is not going to be core. I mean, it's incredibly important, but they're not going to want to manage it. So they're going to be looking to outsource that. And it's a perfect opportunity for partners to kind of take that off the customer's hands and do it for them. So the offers that we're developing snap in very well into that environment. We're going to enable the partners to go to their customers and basically say, hey, I know this is probably not something you want to have to deal with. We can deal with it for you. So that's the first thing. The other thing is you continue to see this, every organization is going to have to take a step back and look at what is our digital strategy or story and how we're going to implement that. And when everything started back in March, companies pivoted quickly, but they just came up with really a Band-Aid as far as just to get them to the point that they can get back open again. Now that they're starting to open up and they have a little bit of flexibility to take a look at that, they're really going to be expanding or looking at what the long-term strategy is and how they're going to implement. And that gets back into just this idea of core, non-core, and really we're going to fall into the category of something that's going to be outsourced to partners. So it's a tremendous opportunity now for partners to get involved, start looking at how they can bring that value around power and cooling, and it's going to open up opportunity for them. And the last thing I would say about this is continue to move forward. And this is more of a concept you hear more outside the US, but the idea of like the circular economy. So the idea of driving waste and becoming more green. Our software actually enables us to kind of start moving in that direction because of the visibility we have, and then also the services we're building around it. The other model that we're seeing that's starting to evolve is this as a service. So basically becoming a consumption model where companies are no longer expending CapEx to go buy assets. They're actually just looking to as part of that outsource idea, really just actually renting equipment to help go drive their business. And I can totally see part of our business going down that path where basically the UPS becomes consumable, and basically customers through partners are just buying the usage of that UPS along with the usage of the IT. And once they're done, they basically stop paying for it. But the idea with that is that not only does it provides a consumption model for the customer, but actually enables us to take control of the back end part of the life cycle and the disposal of these devices, which are not friendly to the environment. So lots of opportunities we move forward. We're still really in the early innings of where I think the market's going, but it's a perfect time to start exploring that and incorporating power and cooling into the practice as a partner.
Great. Thank you so much, Larry, for catching us up on EcoStruxure IT for partners and outlining all these new opportunities that partners have available to them through APC. For more information, I encourage you all to go to the APC website and check it out. And thanks again to Larry Hann from Apc Schneider Electric for sharing his time with us today.
All right. Well, that was a great interview, Colleen. Lots of interesting stuff to kind of digest there and to think about. So the EcoStruxure IT for partners solution that they're talking about, it seems like it's a needed thing these days, especially as the needs for power management become more complicated and become more sophisticated. And this seems like a good opportunity for partners. What any other things you want to kind of summarize or highlight there that you guys discussed?
So as Larry Hann said, it's cloud-based. It's another way to get some additional recurring revenue stream for partners. And he also suggested that you can use EcoStruxure, as a conversation to sort of get into the door and talk about power management. And even if, the customer isn't ready to buy EcoStruxure IT right away, it's a chance to open up that conversation about power management, which is very critical in today's environment that, businesses don't go down. Yeah,
absolutely. Rich, anything you want to mention on that?
Yeah, it's just another example of a bigger phenomenon in the power quality, power management world. I mean, like every other part of IT, power management is becoming a services business, and as a service kind of offering. So, software plays a big role in that, remote monitoring and so on. So the stuff that APC is kind of pulling together in this EcoStruxure product is really going to enable their partners to turn power management from what has historically been a hardware-focused kind of transactional business into more of an ongoing services kind of relationship. So it's an interesting product from that perspective.
Yeah, absolutely. And what we'll do is we'll put a link in the show notes here for the special edition podcast to the EcoStruxure IT for partners part on their website, the APC by Schneider Electric website. So you can go and you can learn more about that. They have a lot of information there and videos and high-level overview and a lot more details there than we can probably dive into right now. So go there, check it out, and learn about it. If you're watching on YouTube, open up the description area. We'll put a link to it from there as well, so you can learn more about that. So great interview, Colleen. Thank you. And while we have the Colleen Fry train rolling, I see no reason to stop. And why don't we play a little game that we like to call 5 Questions? Because I don't think we've ever played 5 Questions with Colleen, have we, Rich?
I don't believe we have, Matt.
So if
are
you're
you going to throw softballs at me?
Would that be a good thing or a bad thing?
Oh, that was good, Colleen. Very clever. Very clever. We might have a show title out of that one.
I was an old player myself, and I still have my glove.
Oh, we'll have to talk about that. I've been coaching it for a long time now, and I'd be curious to hear about what positions you played and how you were back in whenever you played and what teams you were on and whether or not you went to any big tournaments and stuff like that. So we'll talk about that later, but we'll talk about that off the air. Actually, I might even be able to make one of my questions. So we'll learn a little bit more about that. So good stuff. But Colleen, have you ever played? You know about 5 Questions? Do you know how it works?
No, Rich told me a little bit about it, but I have not played.
Well, I'll summarize those for those who may be new to the show. So what we do, it's a little game called 5 Questions, and the way it works is Rich and I, off the tops of our heads, and that's the important part, it's not scripted in advance, Rich and I will come up with 5 questions to ask our guest or interviewee about anything, usually not industry related or, like on topic, but just anything that we can come up with on the top of your head. You never know what it's going to be. It's never to be anything embarrassing, or there are no gotchas or anything like that. But it's usually just to learn a little bit more about you or ask you ridiculous things. Are you up for that?
Fire away.
All right. Well, Rich, I'm going to take question one this time because Colleen mentioned that she plays softball, or she played softball. That's really interesting. So, Colleen, question number one, did you have a primary position that you played, and how did you settle into that position?
So I only played 1 year on my freshman high school team. I was a pitcher, and I think they put me on the mound because I pitched better than I caught.
And was it in high school? Was it fast pitch softball? So you're doing a full rotation going around?
It was. Yeah, I did a windmill pitch, by the way.
Very cool. And how many strikeouts did you get?
Oh God, Matt, that was a long time ago.
All right. Did you at least get a strikeout during the season?
Yes, I did.
Well, it must have been pretty good to get it over the plate and get a strikeout. All right. Rich, question number 2 to you.
Okay. So as hard as this is for me to believe, I've been to Massachusetts many times. I have never been to the Cape. And I believe you go somewhat regularly. So I paint a picture for me. What is great? What's wonderful about the Cape? Why should I make this a destination first chance I get?
Well, Cape Cod is just full of, wonderful beaches. We have the National Seashore, which is like wild open ocean with quite a surf. So there's a lot of, surfers there. We also have sharks in the National Seashore too, because we have plenty of seals. So if you go to the National Seashore, you got to be heads up, don't swim near the seals. You get more mid-Cape and upper Cape, which is closer to the bridge, so closer to what we call the mainland. There's beaches, just beautiful beaches everywhere. In the summertime, there's lots of people too, so you have to put on your patience cap if you want an ice cream or a lobster roll or things like that. And I would definitely recommend getting a lobster roll almost anywhere. Even the chintzy little, beach shacks have pretty good lobster rolls.
Interesting. All right. Well, that will lead me into question number 3, Colleen. So of all of the ways you can prepare lobster, because I know that's one of your favorites and a big thing up there, what would be the number 1 way to prepare it?
Just straight up, Matt, steamed with hot butter. Crack it yourself. You got to eat it at home though, because it's messy. Don't get it in a restaurant.
The classic steamed with butter. All right. And then one non-standard way that you like to have lobster. Other than the lobster roll, which you talked about, which sounds really good, by the way. Now I'm hungry.
Yeah, I don't know about non-standard, but a lobster roll is good too, as long as you're light on the mayo and, don't fill it up too much with celery, because it's really all about the lobster.
Concurred. All right, Rich, question number 4 to you.
So I feel pretty confident in saying a year ago at this time, you were a major Tom Brady fan. Now, what are you thinking about Tom this season?
He's dead to me.
And this is like,
he's a Buccaneer now and not a Patriot. He is dead to me.
This is like 3B, Matt. But I mean, and would you say, thinking about all the Patriots fans, is that pretty much universal? Is everyone like Tom Who at this point?
Yeah, I think we're kind of hurt by the whole thing. But at the same time, we're really embracing Cam Newton. So positive about the future.
Yeah. So, question 4C, Colleen, because I don't really follow football, but I know about Tom Brady and the long career with the Patriots. Why not just retire and go out with that role with the Patriots? Why go to another team at this point?
I really think he still feels like he's got something to prove, age-wise and ability-wise, and not only that, but his rival, Peyton Manning, this is my theory, went on to win a Super Bowl with a second team. So I think Tom wants to do that too. I think he wants to win the Super Bowl with the Buccaneers.
Interesting. Now, at what point would it be, would he be still quarterbacking a National Football League team, but qualify for an AARP card?
Pretty soon.
All right, question number 5 to me. Well, this has been kind of an ongoing theme of the show here, as well as our APC theme for them sponsoring this particular special edition episode. So thank you again for that. But the other recurring theme has been throwing things at people's faces. So Colleen, if you could throw anything at Rich's face, what would it be?
Well, going back to our football conversation, Rich and I did make a friendly wager when the Patriots played the Seattle recently, and I do owe him some New England clam chowder. So it would be cold because I wouldn't want to harm Rich, but I guess it would be clam chowder.
And
I just want, if that ever happens, I want to make sure we have it on video because I will laugh my butt off every day.
and if I'm going to get something thrown in my face, it might as well be something delicious. So,
Well, that's
true. Do like a good New England clam chowder. All right. Well, 5 questions with Colleen Fry. Colleen, thank you for playing along. Hope you had fun with that. And thanks again for being on here with us today. So in order to keep rolling with our APC by Schneider Electric theme, I've got a museum pick and a tech pick, both APC themed, that I want to talk about because Rich, of course, when we were talking about the special edition show, and we were talking about, oh, you know what, we should maybe have the museum pick be APC. And of course, like, not surprisingly, within a foot of my desk, there was like some old APC UPS that was like sitting on the floor. So, and that's no lie, is it, Rich?
Oh, no. This, and yes, somehow or another, this is always true as well, which is just crazy, but it really is true.
So, so I do have a good one. So my museum pick today is this one right here. This is the back UPS Pro 280 from APC. I was trying to peg the date on this thing because I've had this a long time. I'll show the back here for those who are watching, but it's a smaller UPS. It's got 2 outlets on it, and then it's got another little extra little dangly cord here, which is their way of saying this is not battery backup, but this is just surge protection. So I guess they ran out of room on the back plate to put another outlet, so they kind of put this little dangly cord here. It has phone and or it specifically calls out 10 base T protection, 100 base T surge protection. So this was clearly before the whole gigabit Ethernet being normal. So smaller UPS, good for smaller things. I tried to peg a date on it, Rich, and it's hard to find dates, but I did find a manual for it, revision 3 of the manual for this exact model, and it said December of 1997. So that'll kind of tell you about how old this is. How old is that? That's about 23 years, if I'm doing the math right. It's complicated math. You got to carry the 1, and you get the square root symbol in there somewhere, and that big gigantic E thing. If you remember calculus, Rich, you remember the big E in calculus?
No, actually. I just remember conic sections and wondering why am I going to need to know this in life, but.
And a good question still probably to this day, I would imagine. Yeah, but a fun little UPS. I've had a long time. The battery in it is long gone at the moment, but it still works. If I ordered another sealed lead acid battery for it, I could plug it in there and it would probably still work just as good as the day I got it. And one of the things that I actually have a lot, this is actually not even the one that I showed Rich the other day when I picked it up off the floor. It was a slightly different model, but I've gone through many of these. They last. I mean, they really, really do last a long time. And they work well for backing up those things. Colleen, you got any UPSs over there?
I don't, Matt.
You got to get them. They're handy. I got UPSs on everything. Everything. Why? Because when the power goes out, it's just nice to have things rolling. Like the whole power can go out, and downstairs I have a backup UPS. I think it's an ES550, if I remember correctly, another APC model that's running my modem, my cable modem, my router, and my primary network switch. So that way, if I go down, like I still have Wi-Fi in the house, I still have network, I still have internet, and those things are fairly low power. So that thing can drive it for hours if I need. And I got another small UPS up here in the upper floor because I have a lot of stuff that's hardwired here. And that one I believe is an APC. It's a real small one, but that one runs a switch up here, so that way everything still, all the hardwired stuff upstairs still works, which is where my office is, which is why it's important. Of course, I got a UPS on my desktop here. You got to have them, Rich. How many? Do you have any UPSs there?
You know, I don't. I mean, and that's been true since a laptop became the sort of one and only device that I work on. In my desktop computing days, I always had, and you drew a distinction, which is important, between a UPS and a battery backup. I always had a battery backup when I was working off of a desktop. But once I switched to a laptop and it's got a battery on board, it sort of occurred to me at some point, why do I actually need the battery backup anymore externally?
Yeah, and with a laptop, that's true. Although the internet connectivity now is so important, and it's like your laptop won't function without it because like everything is now served in the cloud. So you have to have something on your primary infrastructure to keep it running, modem, router, all that kind of stuff. Otherwise, like I mean, your laptop might be working, but what are you working on if you can't get to any of your stuff? You know what I mean? I guess you could use your phone as a hotspot. Does your phone do that?
It does, yeah.
So, okay, so there's another option as well, but it's just easier to just have everything just continue working. That's what makes it so great. So that's my museum pick, the APC Back UPS Pro 280, circa 1997-ish, 1998. What bands were big in 1997 and 1998, Rich?
I couldn't even tell you. 97, 98, no idea.
Colleen, what were you listening to in 97 or 98? All right, maybe we can see what movies were big then.
Oh boy, I don't know if it's exact here, but late 90s, I think I liked Paula Cole. Remember her? Where Have All the Cowboys Gone?
Yeah, that was a good one. That was good. Let's see. Oh, you know what? I got here a couple good movies from 1997. Ready? Here we go. Air Force One with Harrison Ford was 1997. One of my favorites, it's kind of a sleeper one that maybe not a lot of people have seen, but there was a movie called The Game with Michael Douglas.
Oh, yeah.
That one was a really good one. I like that movie a lot. Event Horizon, also another good sci-fi flick. The sequel to Jurassic Park, The Lost World, came out that year and destroyed Jurassic Park for everybody. And let's see what else was there. Contact, and of course, Colleen's favorite movie of all time, Good Burger. Any of those are your, other than Good Burger, any of those your favorite?
Well, I would say my children liked Good Burger.
It was funny. Good Burger was funny. It's okay to laugh. It is. I promise. Okay, let me get on to my tech pick. My tech pick is also APC themed. So I was thinking, this is a small UPS for, to power a desktop or, a laptop or, some of those things, in 1997, probably a desktop. But what if you wanted to power something in a rack? And one of the cool things that APC has is they have a lot of really great server and rack UPS models with some pretty intelligent stuff. With their Smart Connect port and their software package, you can get use a phone and you can get like real-time status on all of the UPSs that are in service and loads and all that kind of stuff. So I decided to pick one of those. That there's a bunch that we could probably have picked from, but I'm going to go ahead and share this one for those who are watching on YouTube, and for those who are listening. What we're looking at here is the APC Smart UPS 1500 VA. This is a rack mount model with a LCD smart screen, and then it has the Smart Connect port on it. So that way it's all kind of cloud enabled. I'll zoom in on the back here so you can kind of see where that's at. But real nice UPS. And then down here, you can kind of see, they show, life cycle alerts and secure remote monitoring, cloud enabled, nice, easy to use interface, and stuff that's really important for partners when they're working with power products. So that is my tech pick, the Smart UPS 1500 VA. Rich, how many are you gonna buy?
Well, I've got 2 in the mail. They're on their way.
2 in the mail. Colleen, what do you think? You think that would be a pretty good rack mount UPS for the channel partners out there?
Well, if it's good enough for Rich, it's good enough for me.
Excellent. Well, that's my museum pick, my tech pick. I think we're going to wrap it up there. I want to give a big thanks to Colleen Fry for joining us here on this special edition episode, and for a great interview with APC
Larry Hann.
by Larry Hann, APC Schneider Electric. I was getting there. I was going to remember. So great job. And Colleen, if people want to learn a little bit more about you, or where can they find you? How can they get in touch with you?
You can check me out on LinkedIn, or you can go to channelpronetwork.com and check out the articles I've written.
Awesome. And hopefully we'll get you back again on a future show to talk about some of the articles that you do write, because they're real good, and we love having you on anytime you can be on to talk about them. Rich, I think a really good special edition episode. I hope everybody liked it. Rich, where can people find you?
Well, on the Twitters, I would be at Rich Free.
And then, of course, online, you can find his works at channelpronetwork.com. Set that as your homepage, so you can go and I'll get you all the latest articles, news, white papers, downloads, podcasts, you name it, it's there. That's where you want to go if you want to follow Channel Pro Network online. We are Channel Pro Network on Facebook, Channel Pro SMB on Twitter, and Channel Pro Network on LinkedIn. If you want to follow me, I'm at Matt Luck on Twitter. Please subscribe to Channel Pro Weekly. You'll get all of our regular episodes, plus some of our new special edition episodes that we're doing. You can do that on Google Play Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, Spotify, anywhere where they're found. If you like to watch along, you can find us at YouTube. Subscribe there, hit that red button and the bell notification, and you will see that there. And of course, we will be back next week with episode 162, hopefully with a little bit more healed lip going on here. So no more, Rich, no more throwing things at me. Okay.
Okay.
I'm sorry. All right. So we will be back then, and we'll see you all then. Take care.